I can't. I pulled it up from an old one and I just copied it and put it on. So I don't have dementia yet, right? Oh, I have a sister with it really bad. Alzheimer's. I saw her yesterday. I was going to mention it. Okay, let's call to worship. Welcome to WOW, everybody. Do you want to stand? Lord, I come to you.
Let my heart be changed and renewed, flowing from the grace that I found in you.
Lord, hold me close and let your love surround me and bring me near.
Lord, let me see you face to face as you live in me.
Lord, renew my mind as your will unfolds in my life.
As I live every day by the power of your love.
And our opening hymn is Help Us Accept Each Other, 560, and our theme today is Friendship and Connectiveness. Accept each other as Christ accepted us. Teach us as sisters, brothers, each person to embrace. Be present, Lord, among us. Bring us to believe we are ourselves accept and learn to love and live. Teach us, O Lord, your lessons as in our daily life we struggle to be and search for hope and faith. Teach us to care for people, for all, not just for some, to love them as we find them or as they may become. Let your acceptance change us so that we may be moved in living situations. With all who are in need, who hunger for acceptance, for righteousness and bread. We need new eyes for seeing, new hands for holding on. Renew us with your spirit, Lord, free us, make us one. Well, Judy's going to read us the parable of the vine and the branches, talking about Jesus is the vine and we are the branches. We're to love one another.
Good morning, everybody. In this sunshiny place. It may not be sunshiny outside, but it's sunshiny in here. I'm going to read from John 15, verses 9 through 17. Can you hear me? Okay. As the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Now remain in my love. If you obey my commands, you will remain in my love, just as I have obeyed my Father's commands and remain in his love. I have told you this so that my joy may be in you, and that your joy may be complete. My command is this: love each other as I have loved you. Greater love has no one than this, that he lay down his life for his friends. You are my friends if you do what I command. I no longer call you servants, because a servant does not know his master's business. Instead, Instead, I have called you friends, for everything that I learned from my Father I have made known to you. You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you to go and bear fruit, fruit that will last. Then the Father will give you whatever you ask in my name. This is my command: love each other.
So we have prayer requests. Can you all give me some prayer requests that you have?
Loretto.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the situation in Ukraine.
For the people in Ukraine, help to end this war. It's on all our hearts. Deb. So for all the misinformation we're receiving around the world, not just here, that put an end to it. Now.
Celebration for granddaughter Ira's first birthday. She'll be 1 on Sunday.
Oh, that's a great celebration, a joy for Naira's first birthday on Sunday. Nell's granddaughter. Cassie. What's her name? So we have a client of Cassie's named Catherine who has health issues and needs prayers. Well, I have a prayer. It's from Guidepost, a special prayer, but it says, "Please bless the lowly in spirit, those who feel hurt, abandoned, and scared. We humbly pray that you wrap your loving arms around our brothers and sisters who suffer in silence and darkness, and shower them with abundant blessings and grace. With your blessings, may the hopeless find hope, the faithless find faith, and the weak find strength. We pray that you help us to be the children of God, so we may give selflessly to others in your name. Amen." So our offering is we're continuing the Peace Learning Center, and the plate is in the back there. When you leave, you could put a donation there. And we're still continuing collecting toiletries for UMCS every month. So let's sing Where Charity and Love Prevail, 1, 2, and 3, number 549. So my message today is friendship and connectivity, and you may have heard some of these in the past from me, so excuse my repeating, but I'm talking about close moments and God moments. And when we went to Florida in February, part of March, we saw a lot of friends that really meant a lot to us, and I had a lot of God moments that I remember from the past through these people, what they meant in our lives. And when we look back at things at a later time, sometimes we forget to see Jesus in our midst, and he's right there. And so I thought I'd bring a couple of them to you. On our way down, we went through Nashville, and in Clarksville, I met my former work partner from Northern Telecom. Loretta is her name. And Loretta, and we weren't able to see her last year, so it was so nice. We took her to dinner, and she's a widow now. And she worked right across the aisle from me at Northern, and I think I told you this before. She's the first person I went to when Dick called me 28 years ago, wanting to know if I would go out with him if he ever came through Nashville. And we were next door neighbors, and his children were my babysitters, but we had followed up with the family through the years. And so Loretta was the first person, and we ran into her closet, closed the door, and I told her this man called me, that wanted to go out, and I had no interest in going out with anybody. And we had both gone through divorces, and he had lived alone, I was alone. And she just was there all the time for me and supporting. Of course she'll go out with him, and et cetera, et cetera. And so American had their hub there in Nashville, and then he always went through there on business. Well, it stopped being the hub there, so we never saw each other for 6 months. And we became friends on the phone. And until '94, when I went back up to Chicago and met him. But an interesting story about my friend Loretta is, she discovered her roots. And it was a real God moment for us that she would share this with us. And I felt like it was moving for her, too, to be able to talk about it. She always wondered why she didn't have a birth certificate. And she had a feeling she was adopted. And her mother always told her that she had a cesarean birth. Well, when the mother died, one of the sisters said there was no scar, so they felt that Loretta was adopted as well. 3 years ago, when Mario Como opened up unsealed the pre-adoption records in New York, her grandchild, Loretta's grandchild, researched her and found that Loretta's mother was Loretta Gertrude O'Connor, which is the same two names as she was, Loretta Gertrude. And so she received her birth certificate and discovered she had a sister. Also, her DNA showed that she was 96% Irish. She had been born out of wedlock, and so being Catholic family, it wasn't sanctioned, so she was put up for adoption. After investigating, she found she had 4 half-sisters and 1 biological sister named Joanne, who she met at 75 years old. Loretta traveled to Jersey City to meet Joanne, and they kept up through phone and emails. And she also found out that Loretta's birth parents, through Joanne, said they loved each other deeply, and that was very comforting for her. Her real mother just couldn't manage another baby with 5 other children. So what a gift for my friend after all these years. My other angel, Allison, we visited on the way home in Charlotte, North Carolina. And she moved there 10 years ago from Milwaukee to be near her daughter Jenny and family, as well as her older daughter, Sue. Jenny and my daughter, Kathy, grew up together in Clovernook, as well as her younger sister, Zoe, who lives 10 minutes from Kathy in Sydney, Australia, near Sydney, Australia. Talk about a small world. Our families spent all the holidays together, and the girls grew up together. We're best friends. In fact, Kathy's coming here this summer. After 3 years, I'll see them and the children, and is going to North Carolina to see Jenny and their family. To continue the story about Loretta, Dick and I call Allison our angel because she's the one who Dick ran into in Kohl's grocery store on Santa Monica and Fox Point 28 years ago. And she told Dick about me being divorced and living on my own in Nashville. Since he lived alone and I was alone, he called me from there. Well, I had gone back to my maiden name. And so he went home and he saw my daughter's wedding invitation from a year and a half before that my name was Loretta O. So he called Northern Telecom, and out of 60,000 employees, there was one, that was me. So he said if he ever came through, would I go out with him? So I ran over to Loretta, and of course she was my confidant all that time. And we became friends, and when in August of '94, when my older daughter, was coming home from Russia with her husband, where he was getting his law degree, he's in Russian law, I met up with him, and then the rest is history. It was just unreal how we were communing back and forth. So you can see Loretta and Allison how they were our angels in our life. And seeing them both, Loretta on the way and Allison on the way home, it really was very special for us. And so you remember me also telling you about Ellen, who was, we spent a lot of time with there too. And we met each other at our church Bible study here in the Wesley room 28 years ago. And she had gone through a very painful divorce, and she had 2 little boys, a baby and a 3-year-old. And now they're grown. I mean, we've become so attached to them. We send them Buck shirts, and they're big Packer fans. We thought we'd have Super Bowl together, but it never happened, of course. But we saw them, and we connected right away, and the friendship has really grown. She just recently went through a very bad case of COVID, even after being vaccinated, and is having bad after effects from it, vertigo, et cetera. But we talked about WOW and the people and the women that she knows and that we're part of. And I don't know if you remember, but she's the one that started the Beth Moore study here because she was doing that in her church down in Orlando. And so that's been part of our WOW group also. Another special moment was having time with our former band director from Nicolay. He was there 24 years, and Dick's children had played with him. And he has just retired, and they're living in Celebration, which is like a Disney village down in Orlando with schools and golf courses and storybook homes. And he's taken up refurbishing 3-wheel recumbent bikes. So we got to ride through Celebration, through the lakes and the greenery and the trails and the nature. It was godlike. It was just incredible. And we had time with them. So the reconnection and reminiscence was just special. We also saw friends on both sides of the state. I have a niece over in Tampa, and we saw Batchelders who are from our church. And they're Susan and Rich, you may remember them. And a cousin of Dick's on the east side. And each visit was a God moment, remembering what they meant to us in our lives. And I just think it's just so important to keep that going. It's really keeps, it means a lot. So you may all be thinking of special moments that you have. And are there any that you want to share that you didn't realize in the past few months that have stand out to you? Yeah, Rena. I know.
She signed all the time. And so she said, oh, get the folder, Body, get the folder. And she always called my dad Body. And so his name was Bob. So she gets the folder, and it's a yellow folder, and you open it up, and it had wedding, but the groom was blank. And then it had me, and then it had, like, Johnny. She always pronounced weird after her stroke. Johnny, that's my roommate in nursing school. Johnny, be the big one, right? And I said, yeah, the maid of honor. Yeah. And she had it all listed, like who she thought my girlfriend should be, and Dee, my sister-in-law. And then she go, oh, put your name right here, Body, right there. And then my dad goes, where's Benny Ray? Yeah, but now I'm Penn. Yeah, like this. And it was so cute. But then she died like 2 days later, unexpectedly. So she never met him, but I remember thinking, I don't know if this is going to be the one. And then through an ice storm, Dell drove from Milwaukee to Michigan to attend the funeral. And it was just, it just seemed like angel. Oh. Yeah, and it was. Like 2 years later, we were married. But yeah, I just think, I think if she had lived, we would have still gotten together. But I don't think it wasn't, like Dell said when I called him, he was like, okay, I'm on my way. He said he didn't even hesitate. No. And we'd only been dating like 3 months or so.
But she knew about him.
She did know about him.
Yeah, that's special.
We lived that way.
Yeah.
Here she comes.
She was,
But I like how she had a race differently.
Left it blank.
she was up above.
Tell her
Well, it makes me think about yesterday. We were in Chicago to see my sister who has Alzheimer's, she's been in hospice for a year or two, and it just lays there. Can't talk, can't do anything. And I was working at Lydia's on Tuesday, and this book was there, The Next Place, that Mary had just put in there. And so when we go there, we try to play music. And I thought, oh, and it's the next place, heaven. And it's all pictures of, you're going to see your family, you're going to see friends. And I thought, you know what, maybe that would be worth reading to her. So I came in there and she had a big smile. And as you see, it's got pictures of birds and the sky and all of it, the sun. And so I started reading it to her, and she smiled, and she just laid there, and I could see her eyes going. And it was just such a close moment, because if I hadn't gone, it's my first time in Lydia's, Mary had just put the book there, and I thought, and then I tried to get music on my phone, and I couldn't get it. So I thought this was really worth it. And I hugged her, and she just said, I could get out of her 2 words, And then after that, we went to see close friends who I grew up with. We all went to grammar school, Marilyn and John. They moved in 5th grade next door. She moved next door to me, and then John came in 6th grade. They ended up marrying and have been married, 58 years or 60 years. And so we went with them because they're living with their daughter now. They moved from Chicago, where they had been all these years, to live with their daughter. And they have a son who has Asperger's, who never comes out. You never see him. He's brilliant, but he loves military things. And so Dick ended up took time, put all of his old military things from Berlin, put them in a box, and we didn't know if Ben would even come. He came down and he sat with us, and he knew the facts, and Dick could talk to him. He was in his office with Schwarzkopf, and so Ben went and looked up Schwarzkopf. I mean, it was such a close moment. And here's Marilyn and I and John. We grew up together, and we're all together. It was like, and we had, and Karen and Ted, who have a law firm, and they were working upstairs, and they came down, and she's my godchild. And it was like such a close moment to think this kid would take the time with us to begin with. And he just kept wanting to know more, and it was, so he's got all these books to read, and he's really excited, and he's 25 years old. And they've been worried about what to do with him. Well, Marilyn and John are living there now, and they're helping him, and she's doing the cooking, and it's just fine, So how things work out in your life. Isn't it strange how God uses all of us? Yeah. Well, you don't at the time. It just happened as I was coming this morning. I thought, you know what? That really was a God moment to be with them all this time. And with COVID, we haven't been together in a couple years. And they're really very cautious about it. And so it was, I know, to think we were together in grammar school together. Yeah, Chicago. Well, let's sing Blessed Be the Tie That Binds. And thank you to Jane for being so great playing for us. It's 5:57. our benediction, let's read together the last prayer. Draw me close to you, never let me go. I lay myself down before you and hear you say that I am your friend. You are my desire, no one else will do. Help me follow the way and keep me in your loving embrace. Go in peace to love and serve the Lord. Thank you, Judy and Jane.